You might be ignoring 5 hidden health risks that could be costing you more than you realize after 60. As the years go by, changes begin to creep into our lives, often so subtle that we hardly notice them. One day, it might be a forgotten name or a moment when you can't quite remember where you put your glasses. Perhaps a little longer than usual, you sit staring at the TV, not really processing what's happening on screen. These small lapses, like scattered pieces of a puzzle, form the early signs of something that many of us prefer not to acknowledge. Cognitive decline, the gradual loss of memory, concentration, and decision-making ability is often subtle. At first, it might appear as simple forgetfulness. A name slips away, a meeting goes unnoticed, your focus drifts, and thoughts become harder to organize. But the toll it takes goes far beyond these small inconveniences. There's an emotional weight to it, one that can feel heavy yet invisible. The shame of forgetting, the confusion that arises without warning, the sense that something is slowly slipping away, all can leave a person feeling vulnerable, even though they may not have the words to express it. You might brush it off. After all, getting older comes with changes, right? Everyone forgets things now and then. You tell yourself it's just a sign of aging. But in those quiet moments, a nagging voice asks, is it really just a part of getting older, or is something deeper at play? The emotional cost of these changes is often overlooked. There's no alarm, no warning bell, just a slow drift into uncertainty. But beneath the surface, something is shifting, something that many of us don't want to confront. The toll is not just physical, but deeply emotional, wrapped in layers of confusion, doubt, and fear of the unknown. It's easy to dismiss these changes. After all, everyone forgets things, right? But what if the forgetfulness, the wavering focus, and the lapses in judgment were the first whispers of something much more significant? What if these were the quiet signs of a cognitive decline that could affect everything, the very essence of who you are? But the truth is, we don't know yet. There's more beneath the surface, and we are just beginning to scratch the edge of understanding it. As we grow older, our bodies change in ways we can't always control. The lines on our faces become more pronounced, and the aches in our joints become more frequent. But it's not just the physical changes that we need to worry about. The changes that occur in our minds, though less visible, can be even more profound. By the time we reach 60, our minds, like our bodies, begin to show signs of wear. Cognitive decline, while it doesn't happen to everyone, is something that grows more common with age. There are many factors at play. Our brains, though resilient, are not immune to the toll of time. Reduced blood flow, the wear and tear on neurons, and even the accumulation of life stresses can take their toll, making us more vulnerable to changes in mental clarity and function. But it's not just biological. Social isolation and physical health changes can further accelerate these declines. When we lose our social connections, when we're no longer as active, when we don't exercise both our minds and bodies, we make it easier for cognitive decline to take root. Loneliness, in particular, can be one of the most insidious contributors to cognitive health. The feeling of being disconnected from the world around us creates a perfect storm for mental decline, yet many of us don't even realize it's happening until it's too late. The impact of these changes is more than just forgetting an appointment or losing track of time. They slowly eat away at our sense of autonomy. When you can't remember the name of your best friend, or struggle to find the right words during a conversation, it's not just your mind that suffers, it's your confidence, your sense of self. Every decision becomes harder, every interaction more strained. And it's not just a fleeting moment. This slow erosion can affect everything from the way you live alone to your ability to make choices that impact your future. There's a stark truth hiding in plain sight. Cognitive decline doesn't just affect your mind, it threatens your very independence. The idea that we will lose this autonomy is something we don't often want to face. We hold on to the belief that we are in control, but the truth is that age, health, and isolation can quietly strip away that control. We need to recognize this vulnerability before it overwhelms us, but how? How do we prepare for the invisible forces of aging when we can't even see them coming? The patterns are there if you look closely enough. Habits we've picked up over the years that unwittingly make things worse. At first they seem harmless. You skip a social event here. Let a hobby slip away there. Tell yourself that you'll deal with it tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. Over time, these small missteps build up, quietly reinforcing the very conditions that accelerate cognitive decline. Mental health, particularly in older age, is often overlooked. Many seniors still cling to the idea that the mind should simply slow down with age, that forgetting and confusion are a natural part of getting older. So, we don't seek help. We don't ask for support. We isolate ourselves, believing that we are somehow different from those around us. They don't have to deal with this, so why should I? It's not just social isolation that contributes, though. How we treat our bodies and minds can have a lasting impact on our mental health. Physical health problems, like high blood pressure or diabetes, if left unchecked, affect the brain as much as they do the body. We don't always connect the dots between the body and the mind. Ignoring our health, whether mental or physical, sets the stage for decline. Yet, even knowing this, many seniors continue to dismiss these signs, either out of stubbornness or because the social stigma around seeking help is too great. They believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness, a sign that they're losing control. But in truth, the refusal to confront these issues head on only makes the situation worse. The hidden patterns are there too, avoiding certain activities because they are too much effort, not engaging in new hobbies or challenges, and failing to seek out mental health support when needed. It's all part of a cycle, a loop that only tightens as we age. And yet, so many of us don't recognize these habits for what they are, signs that something deeper is going on. As much as we try to dismiss it, these missteps are shaping the future. But there's something even more insidious going on, something that few of us recognize before it's too late. What if, in our reluctance to seek help, we are already reinforcing the very problem we're trying to avoid? As we age, it's easy to overlook the slow erosion of independence. It doesn't happen overnight. Instead, it's a gradual shift. At first, we forget a few things. Then we struggle with decisions. But as time goes on, these small lapses add up. And suddenly we're relying on others to do the things we once could do for ourselves. It's not just about missing appointments or struggling with words. It's about losing the ability to trust your own judgment. Decisions that used to come easily now feel overwhelming. You hesitate, second guess, and sometimes even avoid making choices altogether. Over time, this reliance on others grows, and so does the feeling of helplessness. There's an emotional toll to this process, one that many seniors feel but are afraid to admit. Independence is a cornerstone of dignity, and as we lose it, we also lose something more precious, our sense of self-worth. No one wants to be a burden. No one wants to feel that they can't care for themselves. But cognitive decline doesn't always allow us that luxury. Imagine being in a situation where you can't make decisions, where you must depend on others for the most basic tasks. It's not just inconvenient, it's devastating. What happens when the independence we take for granted begins to slip away? What happens when every decision feels like it's out of our hands? At this point, we begin to realize that our cognitive health doesn't just affect us, it affects those around us. We become a burden to loved ones, and our own sense of identity fades as we let go of control. But the question remains, can we restore what's slipping away, or is it already too late? There's a simple truth many overlook. Small changes can make all the difference. But it's not just about making big, dramatic shifts. It's the little things, the small, consistent actions that can reverse the trend. Taking a walk every day, picking up a new hobby, engaging in mental exercises. These are the kinds of changes that can stave off cognitive decline and restore a sense of control. Take the story of Susan, for instance. In her 70s, she noticed her memory starting to slip. At first, she ignored it, but over time, the forgetfulness became more pronounced. She began to feel frustrated, even ashamed. But one day, she decided to do something about it. She started doing puzzles every day, took up painting, and made an effort to reconnect with old friends. Slowly, the fog began to lift. Her mind became sharper and her confidence grew. It wasn't a quick fix, but over time, these small steps had a profound impact on her mental health and sense of independence. This is not about some grand solution. It's about the quiet power of small actions, the things we can control. It's a reminder that the best way to fight back against decline is through consistent, everyday effort, and it's a lesson we all need to learn. But will we? And if so, will it be enough? As we come to the final chapter of this journey, the truth is clear. Cognitive decline is not inevitable. It doesn't have to steal your independence, your dignity, or your peace of mind. But it requires action, early recognition, small but consistent changes, and a commitment to maintaining both mental and physical health. By acknowledging the risks and taking steps to protect your mind and body, you can continue to live with dignity and clarity. It's not about avoiding aging, but about aging with grace, self-awareness, and the power to control your own destiny. The future doesn't have to be a place of fear or uncertainty. By making small changes today, you set the foundation for a future where mental health is not just preserved, but celebrated. It's about living each day with intention, knowing that your mind is strong, your body is cared for, and your spirit remains intact. And with that, the quiet threat of mental decline begins to fade into the background. We are no longer just victims of age. We are active participants in our own future, empowered and at peace. You can face tomorrow with clarity, with dignity, and most importantly, with confidence in your ability to embrace whatever comes next.